All right, welcome in everybody. Um, this is a special occasion because we have rebranded. The Super Bowl is over. Sadly, the Chiefs won, and our name was NFL Playoff Now. Obviously, there are stuff that go on in the off season, and as you can see behind me, we're still gonna be covering the NFL. Um, so going forward, we are now going to be known as Quad Pod. Makes sense, right? Four people talking about sports. But we just made an Instagram. We're on TikTok. We're on YouTube. And we're just gonna keep getting better, keep producing better content for you guys. This is episode 6. This is episode 6. We're gonna get into your favorite free agent sign for your NFL team. Then we're gonna get into if you could pick one person in the first round, who would it be for your NFL franchise? Then we're going to sprinkle in a little basketball and a little baseball. You'll have to stay tuned for that later. Let's get right into it. My name's Aiden Maldonado.
My name's Tyler Bachman. I missed a little bit or most of that last episode due to some traveling I was doing for work, but I'm glad to be back.
My name is Braden Roby. I missed the fourth episode for, graduate school, but we're back now and excited to get into this.
Yep, and my name's Ben Redding. I've been here all episodes. Me and Aiden are dedicated to this podcast, day in and day out, unlike some people on the pod, but that's neither here nor there. Excited to be in it, talk about some free agent signings, talk about some baseball, talk about some NBA, probably talk about some other sports besides the NFL too.
Absolutely. This rebranding scheme we got going allows us to be a little bit more flexible on sports. And as you can tell, I'm rocking the Brew Crew. First day of spring training, pitchers, catchers report. You're wondering why is your boy not in spring training? The minor leaguers. The minor leaguers don't get to report this early. They also have to pay us now, so no shot. But let's get right into it. I don't want to start it off. I want to give it to the man, Tyler Bachman. I want to hear for your Pittsburgh Steelers going forward, who is your number one free agent target going into the offseason?
Free agency. I think I told you guys during the year that I wanted us to sign Jalen Johnson. Before the trade deadline, we were in talks with getting Jalen Johnson. I really like his game. I think he could add a lot to our defense. JPJ is obviously a stud rookie. He adds a lot, and if we have another lockdown corner on the other side of JPJ, our defense could form very nicely. And I would like to see us go after Jalen Johnson here in the offseason if we can free up some cap space, obviously.
How much cap space do the Steelers have?
None.
Almost nothing. Almost nothing.
But
We've got to make some moves.
We got to cut some people. Cutting Mitch Trubisky helped. Freed up some cap space. Cutting Presley Harvin. I don't know if that freed up cap space, but that just made me happy. He doesn't deserve to be in the NFL. I mean, he was punting the ball 20 yards. That was unacceptable. And then getting rid of Chooks, that was a little bit more cap space that we needed to get rid of. Already, it was 24 hours after the Super Bowl, and we already made some very good moves, some going in a positive direction, leading into this offseason.
Okay. How about you, Brayden? What you cannot agree with Jalen Johnson. You have to provide a support.
I was also thinking about someone in the DB room. Everyone knows that we have Minkah Fitzpatrick, one of the best safeties in the league. I think pairing him with Antoine Winfield Jr. from the Bucks, young guy, played a huge role for their defense when they won the Super Bowl with Brady against Mahomes and the Chiefs. I think he'd be a great addition with Minkah in the back, and I think him, Joey Porter Jr., and if we can get him and Jalen Johnson, that'd be massive. I mean, our front seven's pretty good. There's some older guys. We got to rework some of that and get some middle linebackers or just get our guys healthy. But I think if we shore up that back line with Antoine Winfield Jr., it could be dangerous.
Yeah, I'm sort of surprised you guys didn't name offensive players. I mean, obviously you have good wide receiver, good running back, kinda, in my opinion. But
Very
besides
good.
the Ryan Tannehill and or the Justin Fields interest, we can maybe get into that. But I'm surprised you guys
Fields
didn't
isn't a
name
free
offensive
agent.
players.
Fields
Oh,
isn't
I
a
guess,
free agent, so I couldn't
guess.
say that one. And Tannehill, I mean, everyone knows my feelings on Tannehill based on the end of last episode. So we'll just leave it at that. And what about you, Ben, for the Packers?
Yeah, I think on our end, we got to shore up the defensive line and linebacker position. So obviously, the main one would be Chris Jones. I don't think we'll get him. I don't think we have enough cap space. But I'm a nice on a prayer. Chris Jones would be the guy I want. Secondly, Josh Allen to pair with Quay Walker in that linebackers, I think would be great too. I think he led or second in the NFL in sacks at 17 and a half. So start doing my research, guys. That's how much I care about this podcast. But
Came prepared.
yeah, came prepared. Watch that stat be totally wrong. But uh anyway, yeah, those two are the main guys I want. I think the defense obviously was the Packers' Achilles heel this year, especially come playoff time, even though they did play well against the 49ers, I'd say. If we can get more of a pass rush so we can give Jerry and those guys in the back some time, defend a little more, or give them less time to defend, that'd be great. So yeah, I'd say more defensive side of the ball. That's what I want to take. Even if we wanted to sort of shore up our secondary, I'd be willing to take someone from that end too. But yeah.
Yeah. You do have some big boys on the defensive line already.
Yeah.
I could imagine. I mean, not to bring it down at all, but I did see Chris Jones at the parade was saying,
I
I'm not leaving. But I mean, he's gonna be asking for how much money? Like
Yeah.
high 20s probably.
I
So
mean, he
we'll
was
see.
franchise tagged, so
Really, they can franchise tag him?
I mean, he was franchise tagged last year. I think they can franchise tag him again, but he sat out half of this last season, so who knows if he'd even be willing to play on it again.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just rolling into the Vikings. I think it's sort of a common theme that 3 out of the 4 of us are going to name defensive linemen because I think winning and losing is decided in the trenches. I mean, especially in the playoff atmosphere. If you do not have a good defensive line, you are going to get destroyed. And what did the Vikings not have all season? We did not have the big boys in the middle. Christian Wilkins, free agent from the Miami Dolphins. He's a big boy. And his pass rush win rate at Tyler Bachman. I know you hate that stat, but
Made up stat.
you know, Ben's throwing stats around. I don't know what the percentage rate is, but I do know from preliminary information that his pass rush win rate did go up in this season. He was also good at stopping the run. He is a big boy. And that's what we need. I mean, if we re-sign Danielle Hunter, who's one of the best edges in the game, and you shore up that interior in free agency and potentially the draft. You'll have to wait for that analysis. But I think Christian Wilkins just gives you an advantage to stopping the run. We have decent cornerbacks. They just got destroyed sometimes because we can never, get to the quarterback from the inside, and that really hurts us as a NFL team. Yeah, but enough about free agents. Let's roll into the NFL draft. What do we think, guys? What are the Steelers thinking? What are the Steelers thinking in the first round? Where are you picking? I'm stuttering a little bit. Where are you picking? And who are you taking?
Pick 20. We need a lineman. Excuse me. I think we go center or offensive tackle. One of those two. That's where we're hurting the most, obviously. And I like Jackson Powers. That's who I have as picking, but knowing the Steelers and history repeats itself, I've seen today that talks of getting Bo Nix at pick 20 would be a possibility. At that point, I would be very upset.
Dude, I don't think Bo Nix is it, man. I think
I don't think so either.
I don't know what people saw in him in college. From what I've listened to and read about, that Oregon offense is college. That is not a pro ready kind of offense that he had to run and had success with. But continue.
He's an older Kenny
I was gonna
Pickett.
say he seems like another Kenny Pickett to me. It's like,
Just older.
yeah, if you're
I
gonna
mean-
draft a QB, like I think I mentioned this in the last podcast, the podcast before. Draft someone who actually has talent and raw talent, like a Jordan Love type pick, who can actually just play. I know you don't like that, Tyler. I see you smiling, grinning over there. Just someone who can fling it with the flip of his wrist. It's just, I don't know. If you're Tom Brady he doesn't have the best arm talent in the world, I'd say, but I think in today's NFL, arm talent means anything, everything, and anything. So I don't know. I would not be happy with Bo Nix, to say the least.
I think the best arm talent QB is Michael Penix.
I think both Bo Nix and Michael Penix will be overrated. I mean, Bo Nix played 6 seasons of college football. I think four at Auburn, and he really didn't. No one really talked about him being elite or great like that when he was at Auburn, and then moving to Oregon. You know, they play a style of offense where Bo Nix could flourish, and obviously he did. And you know, Oregon was pretty good, and he put up some pretty good numbers, but I don't think it'll translate to anything in the pros. And same with Michael Penix. I mean, he can throw the ball a long ways, and I might be wrong, but I mean, he had some great receivers at Washington. 3 wide receivers that are projected to go, I think, in the top 2 rounds. I mean, maybe one falls to the third, but I mean, they were great wide receivers, and I don't really think he'll be much in the pros. As far as the Steelers' first rounder, like Tyler said, we need a lineman. He took my center. So for offensive tackle, I'll go with Amarius Mims from Georgia. I think he's really good. He played a couple years with Broderick Jones, who we already have. We can flip him back to blindside tackle and put Amarius Mims in his normal position, especially now that we cut Chucks and finally get Dan Moore's just can blind ass off the field. He can't do shit.
Please.
So I mean, that'd be
Please.
huge. And then also have another one, you know, Tyler mentioned Jalen Johnson is signing in free agency, and our corners are bad. I mean, Patrick Peterson's about as fast as a guy in a wheelchair. So I'm thinking maybe Nate Wiggins from Clemens. I mean, Clemson, he's pretty good. He's 6'2", 185. You know, I think he could be a good corner to go along with Joey Porter Jr.
I think those are 2 solid picks. One thing I'll wrap up before I get my pick on that Bo Nix conversation is that him and Penix also played in the Pac-12. Like, how much defense are they really playing compared to the SEC and Big Ten? And
I mean, so does Caleb Williams, and you guys are high
no,
on Caleb
I
Williams.
get that it helps, but Caleb Williams is just a different breed, and I know you hate Caleb.
I agree with that statement, but at the same time, I mean, you were talking about Jordan Love, right? And he played at Utah State. So really, are we
Yeah.
talking? We're not talking SEC, Big Ten. So you sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't. I just don't see it really. I especially don't see it in Nix and Penix. You know, maybe he's got the potential, but again, he's an older guy, and so I think you're gonna spend a draft pick on a quarterback that has potential. You have to spend it on somebody younger, like for example, last year Anthony Richardson. I mean, young guy, but I think he'll be a good quarterback in this league.
Yeah, I think it's kind of disrespectful to put Michael Penix and Caleb Williams in the same category of arm talent. I mean, Mike, like we said, Pac-12, Michael Penix. I'm just trying to fire Tyler out, but yeah, what does that do? Like 25, 26, and he's got 2 busted knees. I mean, I just think you know how it goes. I mean, I saw JJ McCarthy going up in the first round already. And how many weeks away are we from the combine? 2 or 3. I think Michael Penix is going to keep dropping, especially from what I saw. He did not have a great senior week of practice, and opted out of the Senior Bowl. I could see him falling into the second round, which wouldn't be a bad option for a team that is looking for a QB. But yeah, I think Caleb Williams, that top 3, Drake May, my boy Jaden Daniels, they are I think they'll go 1, 2, 3 QB, but I don't see Bo Nix or Michael Penix. I could see maybe if some team like is really high on Michael Penix, they'd like trade back into the first round to get that 5th-year option. But yeah, that's what I got on that. But
Aiden, I have a question. So you're pretty set and convinced yourself the Vikings are trading up. How upset would you be if they end up not trading up and taking like a D tackle or D end, an edge rusher in the first round, and not your Jaden Daniels that
Or
you've been
JJ
so high,
McCarthy. That's what
or
I'm more
JJ
curious about.
McCarthy?
Yeah.
dude, I've seen JJ McCarthy go 8, 9 to Atlanta. I mean, I don't know. I've watched some. Yeah, I've watched some film on him. I mean, on the run, he does look like a pro style QB. It's just tough evaluating him, in my opinion, just from he didn't get that many snaps from like a throwing or passing perspective. But yeah, would I be upset if we didn't trade up? Probably. I think it's just that time. Like I saw some reports that they want Kirk Cousins back, and now Justin Jefferson wants to know what we're doing at the QB long term. So I do think they're going to make an attempt to get Kirk back. And in this scenario, for my first rounder, I did keep the scenario. This is what I think we would do if Kirk Cousins came back for next year. I think at 11 we'd go big boy D end or defensive lineman. I like those two guys from Texas. I like Devondre Sweat and Byron Murphy the second. I just think at 11, when you're picking at 11, if you're not going to trade up and you're going to stay there, I mean, 2 years ago we were at 12 and traded back to 32 with the Lions. And you're just giving up on those high end prospects. We had Jalen Carter there that we could have taken instead of trading back in
What,
2022. Yeah. Yeah.
what about Jazier Newton from Illinois, I believe? It's another defensive tackle. I mean, he's undersized, but he's pretty good. And you also have, was it Braylon Trice from Washington, that defensive end?
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
He looks like a stud too. So I mean, they got options at 11 for the defensive line if that's what you're really thinking they're gonna go.
Yeah, I think if you ever have an opportunity to pick top 10 or around 10, you got to stick in that pick, and or if it's your year and you need a QB, like that's when you trade up. And I don't really see the Vikings having another 7-10 season like they did this year. Um, I just think we're always going to be in that middle ground. That's just how we always are. We're going to be 9-8, 8-9, and we're always going to be picking 15 to 20. So when you have an opportunity to pick at 10, 11, 12, you have to take those high-end prospects, and beefing up the defensive line is where I think we need to go. If you bring back Kirk Cousins, obviously I'm an advocate for a QB. Jane Daniels, let's trade up to 3 with the Patriots. That seems like easy money. Like I said, every single episode, I think at this point, if you think you have your guy, you give up the farm. That's just how I look at it. That's how you get a Patrick Mahomes. That's how you get a Josh Allen. And that's how you make deep runs into the playoffs. So let's go to Ben, though. I do want to hear what my rival team is going to draft in the first round.
Yeah, I think for us, everyone expects us to take defense, and I would not be shocked if we do. But I actually want to go tackle. I want to beef up that O line even more. Rasheed Walker had a great year. Zach Tom had a great year, but the elephant in the room has been David Bakhtiari these past couple years and him being hurt. I think we should cut him. Just we'll take the dead cap hit, but that would also open up some cap space for us. And I would take Jordan Morgan from, excuse me, a tackle from Arizona. You could put him at left tackle, or you could move him around too, which would be nice. Then I would have more flexibility amongst the top five. And I think the Packers are a top five organization in developing offensive line. So that'd be my pick. I think we can even shore up that offensive line more. That'd help Aaron Jones in the other run game. Whoever we draft running back later in the draft. I think AJ Dillon's a free agent, and my guess is we won't resign him. We'll draft like a Braylon Allen in the third or fourth round, or some other running back, kind of built like AJ Dillon is. But overall, I wanted to build up that offensive line, complete it, make it great. Like we talked about earlier, NFL games are running with great QB play in the trenches on the D line and the O line. So that'd be my pick. I'd be happy with the defensive end too. So it will be interesting to see what the Packers does. I mean, I don't think they've picked offensive first draft pick in the last like 10, 15 years, right? Something like that, or it's maybe in a skill position, but that's everybody's beef when Rodgers was QB. So
Yeah, yeah. When I think about your team, honestly, like I don't know, Jair's leaving, so maybe a cute cornerback. But it's really weird to say that, like, I don't know, you probably could just pick best available. Like you're in
yeah,
that kind of position where it's not like you're lacking depth.
yeah. And if Jerry leaves for sure, I want to shore up that. I would want to draft another cornerback. I don't know what the cornerbacks look like that deep in the round because we pick 25th. It
I
looks like
mean,
so.
recently Kool-Aid McKinstry and even Cooper DeJean from Iowa have been
Yeah.
dropping pretty low. So I think there'll be somebody at 25, but obviously we haven't reached the combine. So, you know, obviously draft boards change and people fly up and people drop down really low. Once that happens and around combine season, we'll have a full episode talking about our reactions, surprises, disappointments for and all that for you guys. But let's segue into some NBA standings reactions. Who surprises us? Who's disappointing us? What's everyone thinking?
Anyway, I do have a epiphany for the T-Wolves. It is nice to see them number one. They do go up and down a little bit. But my heart is with LeBron James, the man, myth, the legend, and I will follow them. They're at number 9 right now. I'm pretty sure that's in the play-in. Probably should do more research on that. But yeah, I don't know why the Lakers just always struggle to win consistently. I know that they build up into the playoffs and that's when LeBron turns on. But it would be nice to see them just be a top 4 seed or something like that, just to take the rock off the back going into the playoffs. But that would be my biggest takeaway. And then the Bucks at 4, I think. Bucks at 3, they're 3 in the East. I just think they have too much talent. Obviously, you have the coaching change to Doc Rivers, but yeah, I'm always gonna pick the Bucks not because I'm a Milwaukee fan. They just have Giannis, who I think is the greatest player. So
I think Giannis is a beast.
Mm.
I'd agree that Minnesota does surprise me at the top. I mean, I don't think talent-wise it really surprises me that much. I mean, Anthony Edwards is he's a dog, and Karl Anthony Towns, he can turn it on when he wants. It just seems like he's been super inconsistent. So it surprises me that they're at the top right now. Another team, so Oklahoma City Thunder. I mean, they're young. We all knew they were getting better. I mean, Shea is probably one of the best young players in the league right now, and Chet's looking as good as everyone expected. Josh Giddey, conflicting opinions about Josh Giddey from a lot of people out there, but I mean, he's been solid for them, and they've got a solid young team, and I'm surprised they're standing where they're at. And then again, the Cleveland Cavaliers being above the Bucks right now. I know that the Doc Rivers change, the experiment so far hasn't worked out, just like it hasn't worked out for a lot of other teams with Doc Rivers. But I mean, they do have Giannis and Damian Lillard, and I saw something the other day about them also trying to go for Andrew Wiggins, and I think, I mean, Giannis is just a monster. He's hard to guard unless you're going to pack the paint and just let everyone else shoot threes. Then I really don't know how you can stop him. And now that you have Dame, I mean, you can't pack the paint like that. So I think they'll be a force to be reckoned with in the playoffs. Like Aiden said, the Lakers, LeBron always turns it on in the playoffs. So they'll also be tough. I believe they are in the play-in. And then, the Celtics, they're leading. It's not surprising. But I'd be actually shocked to see them make it to the finals and win. They somehow find a way to choke in the playoffs every year, even with probably, arguably one of the most talented rosters in the NBA currently.
You're
So
saying
I have a,
you go.
I have
Tyler,
a
you're
take on the
disagreeing.
Bucks.
You're
Oh, yeah.
disagreeing.
I'll get my
Celtics not
I'll
the
get my
most talented?
I'll get my Bucks take out, and then I'll go for Celtics. So Bucks take is if they want to win games, they got to play Thanasis. They just gotta play him more. He's so good. They just need to play him more. They need to give him a chance to really shine. But my Celtics take is Jaylen Brown is a bum. He is a certified bum. Overpaid for
Certified.
no reason. I think I said this on the podcast before. He is not worth his money at all. Not even close. And that's my take on the Celtics, and that's why they choke, because Jaylen Brown is bad.
You're first in the East right now. Like quite a margin.
Because Tatum is that good.
Yeah. So who's your East pick then? You think Bucks will turn it around if they play Thanasis more? Or is it just you think the bomb is gonna lead the Celtics?
Let me think about the East. I got to think about who's in the East. I mean, I could see the Heat making a run. They upset the Bucks last year. Probably not winning it all, but maybe making a little shocking run. Obviously, the Bucks, because Giannis is the second best player in the NBA right now. Maybe third. I don't know. I mean, I always want to see the Sixers succeed. I like Embiid, KU guy. I want to see the Sixers get over that hump and finally get to the finals and finally get Embiid there. I like Tyrese Maxey. He's a very likable guy. I like his game. He's very fun to watch. He's electric. But for favorites, it'd be Bucks or Sixers. I don't think the Celtics can do it. And then in the West, I could see the Nuggets back-to-back championships because Jokic is just Jokic. Jamal Murray is Jamal Murray, and MPJ doesn't pass, but he's still good. Like they still have a
Let's not
talented
forget about
roster, and
let's not forget about the Clippers now either. I mean, they're on a
Oh,
hot
wow.
streak, and
That was
no,
my
why?
take, actually. That's my
I,
surprise team of the NBA so far is
I mean, they're surprising me. Yeah, I mean, Harden, PG, Kawhi, Russell, we can all
they're getting old.
probably
They're
agree
getting
that
really old.
they're all past their primes. But I mean, somehow they're putting it together and winning games right now. So
really
I
like 3
mean,
games back. I mean, that was my
yeah,
surprise team of the
yeah,
the
2 games back actually.
yeah,
So
3 games. It's
I mean, they're
yeah, it was the
Why
other
is no
team.
one talking about the Suns?
I mean, we know
Come on.
we all know that you're a D-Book lover, but I mean, for acquiring Bradley Beal in the offseason, it's kind of been a bit of a disappointing season, I'd say, for
They've been as
them.
disappointing as the Bucks have been, in my opinion. The Suns.
Yeah,
I mean, the Suns just beat the Kings at home last night. Kings. I thought the Kings would be a
Great.
formidable team this year.
You know?
we also forgot to mention the Pacers. You know, they're just barely above the play-in right now. You know, Tyrese Halliburton's been killing it. Pascal Siakam, they just acquired him. You know, he could be.
Hmm.
He's a little older now, but you know, I think he could be a pretty good piece for them. And so we'll see what they do. But Ben, your takes.
Yeah, like I said, my number one take was the Clippers. Like, to see PG, Kawhi, Russell, and those boys all perform the way they are performing this year has kind of been amazing to me. And hands off to Russ. I know he gets a lot of hate in the NBA, but I think he's actually a really good player and actually a really good dude too. So I think he's been overhated a little too much throughout his career. I mean, he averaged a triple double and 1 MVP, so that's just very hard to do in my opinion. And so I'm glad to see him having success with the Clippers. My other takeaway is still in the West, and it's the Warriors. I'm not shocked that they're 26 and 25 and 10th in the West, but it's like, I think, is it officially the dynasty's over? Never want to like claim a dynasty's over, but I just don't see Clay returning to the form he was once. I don't see Draymond being what he once was. I mean, he's still physical, but also he's kind of an offensive liability in my opinion. He can't really do out there
Oh,
besides just stand and rebound. And
yeah,
Steph is still great. Like Steph's the one guy on that team that has been great since day one and is still great to this day. And I even saw a report today that they tried to trade for LeBron at the deadline. So, and I think that would have been a really cool pairing, and I kind of wish that happened. Imagine Steph and LeBron on the team. And they can draft Bronny James and go from there.
I think you know what you said about the Warriors. Yeah, the dynasty's over. I think Clay's had too many injuries. I mean, he had that ACL and then Achilles. I think back to back, missed like 2 seasons. Draymond, I think in my opinion, was always a little bit overrated. I mean, he was good defensively, but offensively, he really didn't bring much to the table. You know, I mean, with Steph and Clay knocking down threes like they were, and then even having KD that one season, I mean, that's just too much of an offense, I think, for anybody to overcome. So I really think Draymond's always been a little bit overrated. You know, I mean, he was pretty good, made a couple All-Star teams, but nothing special, nothing elite. So I'd agree that the dynasty's over. And now we'll give you guys a little bit of MLB, which is we got one MLB member on the podcast, Aiden, part of the Brewers organization. So we'll let him kick it off and see who he thinks the World Series, the 2 teams that will end up in the World Series this year, and the winner.
Yeah, yeah. I don't want to glance over that LeBron topic. But I will. I mean, I think it's either gonna be the Brew Crew or the Dodgers.
Oh, let's go for a group.
Yeah, I mean we have to. I mean we got rid of Corbin. Woody's out for the year. He's gone. You know, looking short staffed in the starting rotation. But I don't know. We from a front office standpoint, we just understand what the hell we're doing. Um, yeah, I mean, it's. I feel like everyone's pick should be the Dodgers. I mean, it's ridiculous what kind of super team they have put together. Um, I don't really think there's much more to say about that. I just think you got Yamamoto, you got Shohei, I mean Trey Turner. I mean you can keep going down the list. So would like to hear you guys' picks though. I do want to hit on the LeBron thing. Like, what do you think that trade even looks like? Like 4 firsts, or is he worth less than that because he's 38?
I don't know
I don't think
about
it was a
4
feasible
first.
trade.
I think the fact that he's older, maybe takes a little bit of his value away. I think he's also becomes a free agent after the season. So I think if the team really wants him and they're not in desperate mode to win the finals now, and I don't think the Warriors are in desperate mode to win the finals this season. I think really, all due respect to LeBron and Bronny James, I know he went through a lot at the beginning of the season with the whole cardiac arrest, and even getting back on the court this year it's a miracle. But I just don't even see him really as a second round pick in the NBA draft. He's more of an undrafted guy, except the draft's not super deep. So I think if a team wants to take a chance on Bronny, LeBron has publicly stated multiple times he wants to play with his son. So I think, you really want LeBron that bad, you wait and you draft his son and you see if you can hope to lure him to the team that way rather than anything else. As for my MLB World Series favorites, I have to agree with Aiden. I think not Brew Crew. I can't go the Brew Crew, but I'm thinking Dodgers. And the Orioles had a great regular season last year. So, and they got a lot of young guys, a lot of good young guys. I think if they can put it together, they can maybe make it to the World Series. Those two are my picks, but again, I don't see anybody beating the Dodgers. I mean, Shohei, Mookie Betts, Yamamoto. I mean,
Freddie.
it's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why I said Trey Turner. That's not me. He plays for the Phillies. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I just think like the way Shohei did his contract, I just think I mean, and it's not football, right? Like you can pay as much the salary cap as you want.
Yeah, I mean, you go over the luxury tax. I think it just comes out of the team's revenue. So, and the Dodgers in a big market obviously can afford Shohei, Yamamoto, and Mookie Betts, and it's a super team. It's almost comparable to the Warriors with KD, Steph, Clay, and Draymond. I mean, I don't know if they don't win the World Series. I think they should be disappointed.
Yeah, I mean, the only way I don't see them going deep in the playoffs is if their starting rotation gets hurt. Um, that's about it. I mean, half the battle in sports is staying healthy, especially in baseball as a starting rotation. Those guys just got to stay healthy throughout the season in order to be successful. So,
You want to go ahead, Tyler?
Yeah, I think it's going to be Dodgers versus Braves.
Those are two NL teams. So
Okay,
They can't play together, Tyler.
we do our
Well,
research.
we do. We know baseball. AL team. AL team. Let me think of an AL team.
Look up who plays in the AL real quick. I'll go.
Yep.
I'll go while you're looking it up. I'll go Dodgers, Orioles too. I actually think the Braves have a good opportunity to sneak in there and beat the Dodgers in the NLCS. Well, I do love my Brew Crew and cheering for Aiden in the squad this year. I think it's gonna be hard without Burns and Woodruff and just revamping that pitching crew. I'm excited to see what the new coach does. And Ricky Weeks being a former Brewer as an associate coach on there is gonna be exciting for us. But dark horse in the AL, I'll go the Seattle Mariners. They were 88 and 74 last year. I think they could
Yep.
step it up this year. I think they have some young talent, some young pitchers. It'd be really cool to see them make the playoffs too and make them go on a deep postseason run. They have a great MLB fan base out there in Seattle, but those are my main ones.
All right. Give me the Rays. They're in the
There
AL.
we go.
They were good last year. They were a solid team. They didn't do much in the playoffs, but I think they can put their nose to the grindstone and get it done. But I think it's going to be Dodgers. I have a future on the Dodgers to win already. Surprise, surprise. I have a bet on the baseball season that hasn't started. I got them at plus, I think 680, and they're at 450 now. So great value. Yeah. I'm all baseball. I don't know baseball very well. I'll get into baseball when baseball season kicks around, and it's hard for me to get into baseball since the Pirates suck, the Royals suck. So I just turn it on. I turn on a Pirates game and they're losing 12-1. I turn it off. That's about my my extent to baseball is. And then I watched every ALCS game, NLCS game in the World Series. Very entertaining. Kind of regret I didn't watch more baseball just because of how entertaining those games were.
I actually have
Um,
a interesting question for you, Aiden, and you guys can also answer this. How does MLB kind of get some steam back, get some excitement back? I feel like the sport has gone downhill in popularity, especially over the past 10 years. I mean, the NFL's dominated, but I think the pitch clock helped a lot last year and at least give some energy to the sport. But for me personally, I don't know. I feel like the super teams are hard, and I also feel like the season's way too long. Like 162, while it's great, that baseball on almost every day, I feel like it kind of diminishes the value of the regular season. But
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good question. I don't think they're ever going to shorten the season. I think they're actually talking about making it longer, producing more games, is what I've heard. I definitely think the pitch clock helped, just the pace of play. I will say it does not help on the field. Like, if you're 30 pitches deep in an inning and you got people on third and second with 2 outs and you have to throw a pitch every 20, or I think it's 18 seconds, it's like doing a max squat 30 times every 18 seconds. It's exhausting. Um, but the way you get more people to watch, I just think we're really bad at marketing the game.
yeah,
You know, I don't think the product's bad. I think the product's actually very good. I do think you have star players for every single team that you could be marketing better. And I feel like people aren't really talking about, like, I guess the Super Bowl just happened, so maybe the media will transition to baseball. But I don't think people are talking about the Dodgers enough. And when you have that many power names, and that good of a team playing, you have to be able to market it. And I just think that baseball is just, I mean, NFL is a marketing machine, right? I mean, we saw with Taylor Swift this year. I just think baseball just doesn't understand how to market their product. I do think the game is good. I mean, we got people throwing 100 every single day everywhere, and we got people hitting 300 and with 40 pumps. I do think the product's good. The pitch clock helped, from a viewable standpoint. Um, yeah, one fun fact is, it'll be interesting to track injury rates for pitchers going forward. I know it treated me pretty bad. I got injured, missed 3 months of the season. I don't know if the pitch clock had anything to do with that. It probably didn't, but I will say, like, the amount of stress that's on your body, and you have to repetitively pitch within 14 to 18 seconds at high velocities, 95 miles per hour to 100. Especially as a starting pitcher. We'll see what kind of an effect that has on the game going forward with UCL, shoulder, especially with higher velocities. Um, yeah, that's my take. That was sort of long, but it's definitely the way you market the game. It's definitely the way you market the game.
I agree. And I actually do have to do a research study on some sort of injury in sports for graduate school. So
Dude, good,
I might just have
good.
to look at Tommy Johns and pitchers with this recent pitch clock change. But I think they do have a good product. I think what Aiden said is true. And like ESPN and all these big companies, these big sports media platforms, they always talk about it's a lot of NFL and NBA and even their draft classes. And I don't think there's much. You never hear much about like MLB prospects, and there's kids in high school like just going crazy, getting picked first round and going up to the pros quickly. So I think they have to market that better. They have to market their star players. And I think it's also you got to make it a little bit easier, I think, to watch some minor league games too, especially AAA and AA. Like you've got guys that are going to be in the MLB soon that are just tearing it up, and I think people want to be able to watch those guys too. And if you're a true fan like of baseball, you want to follow guys throughout their entire career. You have like certain players, like obviously we all support Aiden and the Brewers because that's the organization he plays for. But it's tough to get access to minor league games and watch like certain players and certain people that you want to watch. And one more question before we go on to Ben's little surprise debate topic is what do you guys think about Trevor Bauer coming out and saying he would pitch for the league minimum of $740,000? And why hasn't anyone decided to take him up on that offer yet.
I can go. I mean, I think someone should. I'm not super up to date on his case, but last I read is the girl kind of said she made it up, and he was tearing it up when he was in the MLB, and then he went to Korea. Am I wrong? He went to Korea or
Japan, I
Japan?
think,
He
I
went to
believe, yeah.
Japan, and even there, he was like a star. He was like one of the best players um in their league. Um,
Yeah, I
so I
mean,
don't know why someone wouldn't pick him up, like the
yeah,
Royals
when he was
need a
pitching
pitcher.
overseas, he was up to like 98, 100. Um, he's definitely a very talented pitcher, I will say. Um, but it, you know, I don't know. It's sort of a touchy subject, right? Like just the whole court case and everything. She did come out and say that she faked it. That is like that has been proven by Trevor Bauer. I'm like 95% sure. Um, but I think it's just the baggage. You have that big of a case, you're that popular in the MLB. What kind of organization really wants to bring that to
It's
attention?
it's the PR nightmare.
I mean, he's dragging a whole thing of PR nightmare. Um, and yeah, he's a great pitcher, but also like there are tons of good pitchers. Obviously, like I don't know. I think an organization would rather pull up a 25-year-old starter from AAA that's been pitching really well and throw him in the rotation rather than take all that baggage and use a older kind of pitcher like that. I think you'd rather develop a guy than have to deal with that PR nightmare.
Yeah, I 100% agree too. I don't
Yeah.
know much about the case. So I won't speak on that, but I think it's just a PR nightmare for kind of everybody involved. And I could see maybe All-Star break if some teams in the hunt and they need a
Good point.
guy, they could pick him up and see how he does for the rest of the regular season, and then use contract from there. But yeah, that's my take on that. And also, I'll wrap up my take on the MLB thing too. In a perfect world, I wish they would end the season in August, and then the playoffs would be the entire of August, because then nothing really is going on in August besides the preseason. Excuse me. But and preseason has lost over the past couple of years too. So I think the MLB would dominate the month of August if they did that. And like you said, I think they need to market their players, their stars better too, and do more fun stuff like the series or the game they do in Field of Dreams. Make that a whole series. I think that was like one of the coolest things I've
Mhm.
seen in sports over the past couple of years is having those guys playing out basically in a cornfield. Like that's just cool.
Yep.
If we could find cool spots like that across the world to play, try to grow the game. I know the game is growing great in Asia right now, and India too.
Yep.
He's been posting about that. So I just think there's many opportunities here where the MLB can go. I think to start though, you have to start shorten the season and just make the playoffs not during football season. Like, no offense, no one's going to give that much of a rip. You're always going to get dominated in the ratings by the NFL.
Yeah, I think Ben hit on a great point. Like the NFL does London, right? Like the Vikings are
Yeah.
playing in London this year. Like I can't imagine how unbelievable of an atmosphere it would be if you threw the Dodgers versus the Angels in Japan. Like I can't even imagine how crazy that would go and the kind of marketing scheme that you could do with that. I do think they're going to get better at marketing. Um, but yeah, Braden, I think for your research topic, you should definitely do that. I think one of the things that surprised me when I got injured, my trainer told me, he's like, dude, an average starting pitcher in the minor leagues and in the bigs, like you're gonna miss a month, like just on average, which is crazy. Um, but Ben, I truly don't think they're gonna shorten the season. I think 163, 165 is like where they want to stay, and like I said, they might add more, which is really scary. I do think if you shorten the season, I mean, you're probably saving a couple pitchers a year's arms, to be honest.
Yeah.
That's probably 2 or 3 less starts. And to be honest, like late in the season, it gets tough. Like you're never pitching healthy. Like I promise you, halfway through the season, every single starter that rolls out there, like they're dealing with something. Um, so yeah.
Good insight.
I
Yeah.
think shortening the season would be huge, but I think another reason maybe why they don't is that like NFL tickets for top tier teams and you know they're they're expensive for home games. I mean they only play 17 games a season and not all of those are at home and the MLB and the NBA too. I mean I know they're not nearly as many games in the NBA, but they're still a lot more than the NFL. Those tickets are cheaper and more accessible, so I think I don't know if the franchises want to do that because it's taking money away or out of their pockets because they're still getting money from ticket sales and concessions, jerseys, all that stuff. They're getting money from that during the season, but I do think it would save, especially pitchers. Maybe not, like every player a couple years, but especially pitchers. And again with Trevor Bauer, I mean, it was the disturbing case to read when it first came out, and so I'm not sure anyone wants to deal with that PR nightmare. I know he's a good pitcher. Um, I saw it when they were talking about the Pirates, and I know the Pirates are abysmal almost at everything. And I mean, we're paying, I think, like a 41-year-old pitcher $2.2 million this season, and Trevor Bauer would be a steal for that price. But it's just a PR nightmare, and you never know what else is going to come up. I mean, there's always stuff coming up about him being a weird guy and everything. So I just don't think it's worth it. But Ben, you can get on with your little special
Wait,
debate
Ben,
topic now.
Yeah.
before you get into it, I have a question I want to propose to Braden, kind of on the same topic of the PR nightmare. Sign him, don't sign him, proven not guilty. Excuse me. Matt Ariza, the punter. Should the Steelers go try and sign him?
I saw that actually in the same report I saw with Trevor Bauer, and he's a great punter. I
He
think
was. I think he's like
he
one of the
was,
best college punters of all time.
yeah, he was, and I mean he was even a good punter with the Bills. I I mean I think that's even more of a PR nightmare than Trevor Bauer. I mean I think like we just talked about, the NFL is more popular. I mean, sure he's a punter, but Trevor Bauer happened, I don't know, 3 years ago, something like that.
Hmm.
2021, I think, was his last season with the Dodgers. And, Matt Ariza is a lot more recent, and I know it came out as not guilty. I think, he'd be a great signing for the Steelers, but I just don't know how that go, especially with cases like that or so, you know, if some people will still think he's guilty, some people won't. And so I don't know. I mean, I think it's unfair to the guy if he truly isn't guilty to not give him another shot. But otherwise, I just don't know. I don't know how you can really sign him right now. I think you have to see what you can get through free agency. And, the Iowa punter was fantastic. So if you snag him in the draft, then
Yeah,
I don't think you pull the trigger on him just yet.
Yeah,
I just wanted to hear your take on it.
yeah, I think this is sort of, I don't know if you guys are gonna agree with this. I'm gonna slightly disagree with Braden, but I think like when stuff happens in the MLB, like the toleration for that is a lot lower than it is in other sports. If that makes sense, like you always see domestic violence with the NBA, NFL. I mean, there is like a lot of like steroid use in the MLB and like people getting popped for that. Like there are some Dominicans that have domestic violence issues, but I just think like I think Matt Ariza will get another job just because it's the NFL. And I feel like things get swept under the rug a little smoother than it does when it comes to the MLB.
I agree because I mean we're just talking about, and Matt Ariza's not even like, he's not a star player. I mean he's a punter, but the MLB does have, I think, a lot less tolerance. Trevor Bauer was obviously kicked out of the league for that before anything even being proven guilty. Not to bring up any other sensitive topics, but just Wander Franco right now is another one. And I mean, you look at the NFL, you look at Kareem Hunt. I mean, he got another job fairly easily, but he's a star running back. The only reason I think it's maybe a little different is just because he is a punter. It's not a skill position. It's not anything glamorous. I do think he should get another job, but just because of his position and being able to not have to, like, it's not something you have to stress about right now. I think he'll be available even after the draft. I think I just maybe wait on pulling the trigger first.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's great stuff that we just went over. I do know that Ben wants to go over one topic before we get to Immaculate Grid. Let's just roll into that little discussion.
Yeah, we'll end it on a more lighter note than we've been talking about.
Yeah, no shit. I was
Uh,
like, I was tripping over my words, like just trying to make
yeah.
sure I was, like, politically correct.
Yeah. So I saw a report recently that the Bleacher, I think it was off Bleacher Report, that the NCAA men's basketball tournament is talking about expanding over the next couple of years. It is at 68 teams technically right now. Include the first four play-in, and then you have the 64 team tournament. I don't know what they're going to expand it to. I don't know what they would expand it to or how they would expand it, but just curious your guys' takes on that. Personally, I'm against it. I feel like it would dilute the regular season even more. I don't think there's any need to expand it. I feel like they're making enough money off it right now. And like I said, what maybe their marketing tactic is, we'll just put all the popularities on March Madness anyway. So mine's will make it like the biggest sporting event, the spring, summer, maybe even year, the biggest playoff, definitely. Maybe they want to double down on that, and that's where they realize where most of the marketing money comes from. So that could be a play on their end. But as a college basketball fan, as a Badger fan, Big Ten fan, I valued the regular season still and like seeing those Big Ten matchups. And besides seeding, I want the games to mean something.
No, I agree. I'm against it because it's going to add more teams that shouldn't be there,
Yeah,
who otherwise wouldn't have it, didn't deserve to be there. Don't want to pick on the Big Ten, but Big Ten teams shouldn't be as fluent in March Madness. I don't think the Big Ten is as competitive as other conferences when it comes to basketball. And I think that's a reason why Purdue always gets exposed, because I don't think the Big Ten is as competitive. But this year, I will say your Badgers could make a run to the Elite Eight. I could easily see that. I wouldn't be surprised if that were to happen, but I am against it. It's my final.
Uh, I'm against it, but not really for the same reasons as Tyler Urban. I mean, I think it would dilute the regular season. I'm not really sure I can necessarily say that it would let teams in that don't deserve to be there. I think the beauty of March Madness is the fact that there are upsets, and I don't know if you could say that. I think with college football, obviously, you don't really see upsets. I don't think the 12-team college football playoff that they're rolling out this upcoming year is gonna really provide any upsets. It's more about depth and everything like that. But college basketball, there's much more parity, and I really think it's just a money play. I don't think it's gonna provide anything for college teams or college athletics. I think it's just all about the NCAA wanting more money, and that's why I'm against it.
Yeah, don't get it twisted. Every major corporation, MLB, NFL, NHL, NBA, NCAA, they only care about money. I mean, they can talk about health, they can talk about let's make the game safer, let's do more for our athletes, but at the end of the day, all they care about is making money. Um, I'm not going to sit up here and lie to you guys. I don't know jack shite about college basketball. I do have one last thing. I know this has been a little longer pod, but the hot topic today on Twitter was Steve Wilkes getting fired. I love that Kyle Shanahan doesn't play around. You know, I think in the second half, Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, we've already covered this, but like they know what you're going to do defensively. You did not make any adjustments, and that was pretty obvious to me. And Steve Wilkes, I think was on the hot seat most of the year. I mean, when they played the Vikings, they did zero blitz with 2 seconds left in the second quarter, and Jordan Addison scores a tutty on the last play of the first half. And I know Steve Wilkes, that was sort of like the hot button, like the hot seat kind of started getting hot for him. But I don't know if you guys had anything before we roll into Immaculate Grid about Steve Wilkes. I think it says something about a coach to fire your guy 2 3 days after the Super Bowl when you don't win it. I think Kyle Shanahan knows what he's doing. I saw some people saying that they're not going to be able to get back there again. I just don't agree with that. I think he's a phenomenal coach. So.
I'll say one thing. I think Kyle Shanahan is a phenomenal coach. I do think Steve Wilkes mishandled, the second half. Um, Again, also no excuses for Steve Wilkes, but losing Greenlaw is huge. I mean, Burks isn't half the player Greenlaw is. So I think that was a big deal. Wilkes still messed up. The Chiefs made adjustments, and I mean, it was probably Andy Reid if we're being honest. Matt Nagy's nothing special. I mean, we saw that in Chicago, so we'll give Andy Reid all the credit for that. But Steve Wilkes, I think I think also though you have to put it a little bit on the offense in the second half too. They didn't make it the easiest on the defense. They didn't drive the ball down the field. I mean, the defense was probably getting pretty tired. They couldn't offense couldn't take advantage of anything. So was it the right move? Probably, but he could have possibly waited another year to do it, especially this late into the offseason. I don't know how many more good candidates you're really going to be able to find to replace him.
Yeah, I think shows that Shanahan's not messing around. I don't think Shanahan was ever really comfortable with him throughout the year since the Viking game. Um, some other person, either on Twitter or on another sports talk podcast, pointed this out, but Shanahan went to call a timeout when they were on defense, like when San Fran was on defense, and you never see Andy Reid doing that with Spagnuolo. You never saw some other chief offensive mind coaches doing that with their defensive coordinators. Just didn't show that he fully trusted Wilkes in that moment. But like you said, I feel like they'll be back. I mean, there's just so much talent. They're such a good drafting organization too, and just culture wise. So not really worried about that. I wish Steve Wilkes the best of luck going forward. I'm sure he'll find position role if he wants that somewhere. So
Yeah, I saw on
I'm sure
Twitter.
he'll find another job.
Yeah, I think I saw that too on Twitter, Ben. But I think the timeout was called for Shanahan to like mother f Steve
oh
Wilkes.
really?
I think
Okay.
that's what's going on. I think
Huh.
Uh,
I
so
get that
that's
too.
something to look
I mean,
into.
I think there's some coaches also that just, you know, maybe Steve Wilkes' philosophy didn't align with Shanahan's. I wouldn't necessarily say that makes Steve Wilkes a bad coach. I mean, it's situational awareness in some of the games this season. Yeah, they didn't look the greatest. I mean, they have a fantastic front seven, but the DBs are lagging a little bit. So, I mean, Wilkes, I think, could easily get another position job, but possibly even another defensive coordinator job as well, just with a head coach who has a different philosophy and he meshes better with.